So we may have to, it doesn't give me the option on this to upload to YouTube. So I'll just record it and we can upload it tomorrow from there. So with that said, I call the meeting of the town pool project building committee to order. Please, I guess, stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it is formed, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Stop sharing that. Okay. And so let's see. I think next thing we have is roll call. Miss Conway,
Here.
Mr. Mankey,
Here.
Mr. Tiniakis,
Here.
Miss Capello,
Here.
and Mr. Parado.
Here.
Parati, excuse me. Okay. And then, as I said, Eileen, technically you're not on the committee today, but
Excuse me. Yes, I am.
No,
I was
you'd be appointed by,
nominated at the last Parks and Rec board meeting.
yeah, you'll be appointed by council tomorrow night at the meeting. So the next order of business is election of officers. Is there a motion for a chair?
Can I speak?
I make a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, sure.
I make a motion that AJ Tiniakis be the chair of the committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Eileen, second. Bernadette first. And then any discussion?
Can I nominate somebody else?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate.
Wait. Wait a second. First, let me think about that. So there is a motion on the floor, then. Yeah, there has to be comment and a motion on the comment on the motion on the floor, and then we can. I guess I have to ask AJ, do you accept that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay. So Nancy, I don't believe that we can make a second motion while there's a motion on the floor in Robert's.
Okay.
So under comment, Eileen.
I just want everyone to know that I've decided to step back as chair because I was named chair of the Parks and Rec board, and I think that's enough on my plate.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Let me do a roll call vote just so we make sure I got it. Ms. Conway,
Aye.
Mr. Tiniakis,
Aye. Weird to vote for myself, I guess.
Ms. Francolino,
Yes.
Mr. Prati,
Yes.
Ms. Capello.
No.
Okay. Mr. Mankey.
No.
Okay. The ayes have it 4-2. Let the record also reflect that Ms. Nest is not here. So with that said, I turn the floor over to Mr. Tiniakis to run the rest of the meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I feel it's I don't know the order so well, but if Nancy had someone that she wanted to elect as well, shouldn't she get like an opportunity to do that?
I think it's a moot point at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, so once you have a motion on the floor, you have to take a vote on it. If the motion is seconded, then you have to take a vote on it. And you can't have like two motions on the floor at the same time.
Okay. All right. It's just strange to me. All right. So then I guess our next item is to vote for a vice chair. Do we have any nominations for a vice chair?
I nominate Tim Mankey.
Is there a second? Does not seem
I will second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Ms. Conway. Oh, no, we have to.
Or discussion. Sorry, yeah, discussion. Any discussion, guys?
Yes. Technically, right now, as much as I'm not technically on this committee, neither is Tim, because he is on there as a member of the public, and he is no longer a member of the public. He's a member of the Parks and Rec Board.
No, he was appointed by council in late 2025.
Right, I serve as a member of the public.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happen to also serve on the Parks and Rec Board, but I serve as a member of the public.
No, you're a member of the Parks and Rec Board because
No,
Correct, but I'm also serving as a member of the public.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was, I could be wrong. I thought the makeup of the committee was supposed to be 2 members of the Parks and Rec Board, and then, which would be Carol and myself, and then members of the public who couldn't be on the Parks and Rec Board.
Tim replaced John Donahue
Correct.
as a member of the public. He was appointed.
Yeah, I got that, but he has since been made a member of the Parks and Rec Board, so you can't be both. You can't be a member of the public and a member of the Parks and Rec Board.
That's not true. We have members that are serving on multiple committees. There's nothing that prohibits you from being on the pool committee and the Park and Rec Board at the same time concurrently.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. I just didn't want things to get screwed up.
So right now there's a motion on the floor with Nancy. Nancy made a motion, Bernadette seconded, for Tim to be the vice chair.
Okay. Any other discussion, guys? All right. You want to do another roll call vote?
Yeah. Ms. Conway?
Aye.
Mr. Mankey?
Yes.
Mr. Tiniakis?
No.
Okay. So technically, Eileen, I'm sorry, but I have to skip over you on this one. Ms. Capello
Yes.
and Mr. Prati?
Yes.
Okay. So 4-1. Okay. Congratulations, Tim.
All righty. Okay, moving on. We have approval of the minutes from the November 24th meeting back in 2025.
Just a point of order, I think those are the minutes of the December 15th meeting we're talking about.
That's correct.
I was going to say.
It's just the legacy thing. Yeah.
All right. Any notes from there, guys? Any typos found or anything crazy?
I didn't see anything.
That was last year, so long ago.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the December 15th special meeting.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. That's great. All those in favor? Whoever saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Nope, doesn't sound like it. All right, great. Okay, so moving on to public participation. Do we have anyone online? It looks like someone has their hand up here.
That's
John here.
Yeah, it's Mr. Grzkowski. You're unmuted, Scott.
Hello, good evening. Thanks for everything that the town did for the snow today. They did a wonderful job. Good evening, Scott Grzkowski, 46 Miami Avenue. Just a point of order here, and I could be wrong on this, but I was on another committee where a town council member tried being a chair of a committee, and they were not allowed to since they're a liaison. And just checking if that's the rules or not. That's it. Thank you.
So yeah, Scott, I can talk to James tomorrow and confirm that that's okay. I believe it is.
Right. Anyone else online? There's no one in the room, right? So it doesn't seem like it. All right, we'll move on. Yeah, we'll move on to comments by committee members. Any comments, guys? Yep. Tim, go ahead.
I could just point out that John Donahue is serving as a member of the council and the chair of this previous committee. So I don't see a conflict. And I don't believe the members of the council are appointed as liaison. I think they're appointed as members of the committee. So I don't think there's a conflict with AJ serving as chair. Certainly he's qualified to serve as chair, and John Donahue did the same at the original pool committee, but this pool committee was set up differently, I believe. So, but I don't believe would be a conflict. But you should still check it to make sure there isn't.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else, guys? Any other comments? Yep, Bernadette, go ahead.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to Eileen for all of your leadership previously. Thank you for all of your work and all you've done and you will continue to do. I also want to say thank you to the Parks and Rec Department, Bill DeMayo, for providing all of the information that he did. It's very helpful in making some decisions and getting a clearer picture. So, I just want to say thank you for providing the data.
Nice. All right. Anyone else, guys? Going once, going twice. I'll echo the same thing. I want to say thank you to Eileen. I'm sure this is not like an easy committee to be chair of, so I will do my best. Obviously, going to depend on everybody to kind of ride the ship together, and hopefully we can get something concrete, solid, and something that the whole town could get behind in a timely fashion. All right, if there are no more comments, we'll move on to old business. Our first line here is discussion with Patrick Bates regarding the issues raised in I'm going to assume that it means supposed to mean the December meeting. I'm not too sure. But yeah, is Pat online with us here?
He's not, but his colleague Tim Sheehan is.
Oh, okay, hi. Hi, Tim.
Hi, how are you today? I'm a little concerned that Patrick isn't here because I was here to listen in, not not be leading any discussions, but I'll do my best.
Is it like a conflict of some kind, or is he like running late? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't
We can
know.
get-
I know he was traveling somewhere, but he said he'd be, yeah, in his hotel room or something.
I sent him a text and I haven't gotten any response yet, so he may
Okay.
just be out of range.
All right. Well, we'll just rift and see what happens.
Well, I'll just sort of tee this up a little bit. So I sent around like a one-page document that summarized three things. One was a whole host of those requirements for the Red Cross certification for swimming, and the depth of the pool, the length of the pool, and that I did send over to Patrick, and then there was also the second thing was also a ChatGPT, a 10-page ChatGPT document that Bill and his staff developed that talked about some of the concerns with applying that applying the gunite shotcrete to pool foundations, and ask Patrick or Weston Sampson to comment on any concerns that are highlighted in that ChatGPT document, and then finally about whether the pool could be configured so that it would still be long enough to host swim meets. And I mean, I guess is at a high level, and I don't want to hijack this, and I want to turn it over to the experts, but to the extent that Tim can talk about this. Tim, did you get a copy of that that one pager that I'm talking about? Tim Sheehan.
I will see if I can find it in the project folder.
Okay.
So if you can.
Okay, so I mean, I think that the gist of it, though, what Patrick communicated back to me is that all of this stuff can be designed around and engineered around. So if it's the depth of the pool needs to be, that extra 6 inches or whatever it is, well, that can be engineered around. Ditto, if the length of the pool needs to be a little longer, that can be designed around. You may have to take a wall out or something, but it still can be designed around. And then finally, as far as applying the gunite to crack foundations, well, I think Patrick's point was those are the things that you would address before you were to apply that kind of material. Now, I obviously am not the expert. I'm just sort of repeating what he told me. But Tim Sheehan,
yeah. So let me. Oops. If I'm able to share my screen.
Oh, I can make you co-host here. Oh, looks like you got it.
All right. Are you able to see the computer drawing right now?
Yep.
So we were able to, after the comments from the last meeting, we were able to kind of rejigger the plan in order to be able to take advantage of the existing dive well and know that we've got the pool depths as well as the length happening because this dash line is the extent of the existing pool. And so kind of being able to ensure that we are building our new pool wall inside of the existing extent of the wall, which also answers the question of being able to apply the gunite. We're basically pouring a whole new 8-inch wall inside of the existing structure. So we're not having to worry about whether it's like a veneer or a plaster finish that might delaminate or come off at a later point. So we are able to achieve that inside of the existing limits of the pool that's out there right now.
Nice.
So being able to get the depths allows you to cover for the Red Cross training.
Okay, cool. Love that. Eileen, did you have a question there? I saw your hand go up.
Yeah. I did a little research about gunite, and is this right that you have to apply protective sealants every 3 to 5 years?
So the gunite is the concrete that you're putting on there.
Yeah.
And so that we would come back and that would have a plaster finish. I assume well, we have to have that conversation of whether it's painted finish or a plaster finish, but it would have a normal finish. And so depending on what you do, whether if it's a painted, that needs to get reapplied every couple of years, probably 2 years. If it's a plaster finish, that lasts 5 to 6 years to 8 years, depending on the quality of the plaster finish.
So it's just a matter of painting the pool. We paint our pool all the time, you know.
Right. Yeah. So if you're going to do a painted finish, then yeah, that's just the same as you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ms. Bernadette?
Yes, so what we're looking at is the rendering of the reconfigured pool at Mill Pond.
Yep.
So that the laps are going into, instead of going, well, it's just going,
Where they had been going page north to south.
right.
And I believe you had like 7 lanes, which was an odd number. So this is 6 lanes going in the opposite direction, which allows us to get the water depths as well as ensure that if we had maintained the rotation 90 degrees where it is existing, that does not allow us to build the walls inside of the existing structure, and we would have to chip a wall out in order to maintain competition length of 75 feet, 25 yards.
So this is 25, a full 25 yards going in.
Yes.
So
We've
it's
got full 25 yards
okay.
between there and there.
Thank you.
Nice.
And
Tim?
regulation 6 lanes. I forget what we had for dimension lane to lane. So we have 7-foot lanes right now, with a little bit on the outsides, so that we're able to avoid the inset step and ladders.
Tim, go ahead.
Okay. Other people use this gunite material, right?
It's the primary way that swimming pools are built. We sometimes, if we were starting from scratch, we would have a conversation as to whether a cast-in-place pool was more affordable or made more sense for any particular reason. But gunite shotcrete is the primary way to build pools.
So it's the way it's normally done.
Yeah.
Gunite is concrete. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm late.
Hey.
It's Patrick here. I can't change my name tag for some reason. Sorry about that. So, yeah, so it's known as shotcrete. You can have either wet mix or dry mix. The dry mix is known by a brand name like Kleenex called gunite. Not to be confused with the finish of the pool. It often is. So people refer to plaster as gunite, but gunite is in fact concrete, a form of shotcrete. If it's wet mix, comes pre-mixed from the factory or from the plant in a truck, and then it's shot pneumatically, it's called wet mix shotcrete. So it's all interchangeable. What we're concerned with is the strength of the concrete and the reinforcement of it, but they all behave very similar. The advantage of pneumatic placement, whether it be wet or dry mix, is the density, which makes it inherently waterproof compared to a traditional poured concrete.
Thank you.
All right, Jim, go ahead.
All right. Yep. Thanks. So this was Mill Pond, was correct? And those 6 lanes fit in the existing shell that's there?
Yep. You can see the extents of the existing shell that are there.
Okay. I just had been at the pool. It just didn't seem like it, offhand it fit 6 lanes, but maybe it does. I guess it does. But then so it does get down. Do you have the depth? So it would go.
So we're showing going down to 9 feet, but if we need to have that, I need to go back and Patrick, do you have the existing depths of the pool? I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe we go to 12 feet there. It's not an even bottom at the deepest end.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of study required, but we would maintain as much depth as you tell us you want for the programs that you wish to serve. There is an advantage in making the pool shallower. A lot of municipalities are looking for shallower pools because they're considered safer. However, I understand there's a desire to maintain the ability to do American Red Cross training, which is looking for deeper depths. So we could do a study to figure out what in fact is that deepest depth that we can maintain within the pool. It's going to be a little bit less than what you have now, but there seems to be plenty of room based on those American Red Cross standards that were provided to me that we could accommodate those programs.
Yeah.
There's an advantage in reducing the depth other than the safety, also in that you can incorporate a main drain into that interstitial space and thereby not have to interrupt the existing shell. As you all know, we have high water table in that area, so the less we can do to the shell relieves the burden of dewatering while construction's in progress.
Yeah, and I think based on what we got sent in the packet, it sounds like 9 feet is the minimum we need for the
Looks like it, yeah.
cross. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm reading that right. There was something that said 7 to 10, but if it's 7 to 10, doesn't matter. If 9 works, then we don't need 10 feet. I just want to make sure, because to me, that's an important part of this. We should be able to do that training at these pools, and it sounds like based on this, that would be doable. So
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great. All right, Eileen, go ahead.
Is there a diving board in this particular model?
No.
Is there a place where it could go?
So physically, yes. However, diving boards require a dive envelope. So that's the profile of the pool. Not just reaching a certain depth, but maintaining that depth and a minimum slope for a period or for a distance as you move away from the edge of the pool. I don't believe you have what's required even for a 1 meter. We could certainly evaluate that as part of a design, but I think we heard in some of the interviews that the diving was removed, and that's not necessarily something that you were looking to bring back.
I know the diving was removed because of the structure of the diving well, but there's a whole lot of children that go there that would love a diving board. So, I think it would be a great thing to be able to include. I know that there are, excuse me, 3 different things that were put out there. I don't think, we necessarily need all 3. We don't need to have them all at once if we have to worry about our budget. But I think a diving board and the ability to put a diving board in there would be great. A diving board is also part of Red Cross swimming lessons, learning to use a diving board. So that's another thing to consider.
Okay.
All right.
Bernadette, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just concerned. I know where the blocks, starting blocks are. It's deep enough for diving in, and I know on the left-hand side it's a lot more shallow. And do you know what the depth is there? I'm just concerned about flip turns and there being enough depth for that. Because I know the furthest left part of the pool is the shallowest end. So just past that starts off at 3 feet, moves into, I think, 4 feet by the time we get to, where where the flip turns would be happening.
Yes, so flip turns can happen in as little as 3'8". We're showing 4 foot right now, so it should be adequate for doing flip turns and competition and everything. There are some pools that have them at 5 feet or even deeper, but you start to 4 foot is a good kind of happy medium of people, different age groups, being able to use the pool and still being able to do the flip turns.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Tim.
I know we're looking at Mill Pond here right now, but would a diving board at Churchill be feasible?
Again, we didn't evaluate it. It's not something we heard, but we could take a look. My gut is no.
Okay.
For both.
Do most town pools have diving boards anymore? Right. I would think it'd be a liability, but I'm not
I don't
sure
think
if they
so.
still do it.
Almost all of them have gotten rid of them for liability reasons.
That makes sense.
There are insurance company policies that get rid of the diving boards.
That makes sense. Okay, Jim.
Yeah, just I don't know if I have to go through you, AJ, but which thing relates to the diving board for the? I didn't see anything on diving board with the criteria, but maybe I missed it for the
Red Cross.
The Red Cross.
I don't think it does
It's
have.
not surfaced. If I missed it, I missed it.
Typically diving from the side of the pool is what they're
Yeah.
trying to teach, not from a diving board.
Yeah, I just didn't know if I missed it because I saw it surface dive, so I took that from the side, not a diving board. But
Yeah.
I know, Eileen, you mentioned that, so I don't want to speak for you, but you have your hand up now, so maybe.
Yeah, go ahead, Eileen.
Yeah, the diving off a board is part of the end of swimming lessons for, before you pass all of them. It was on that sheet. I'm sorry, I don't have it right now, but yeah, I can't find it. Shoot, it's there.
But they don't do it now.
But it's the last level of swimming lessons to be able to pass out of swimming lessons.
How do they do that now? We don't have a diving board now, do we?
No, they
Nope.
off the side of the pool, not on a diving board.
Yeah.
No, and they have to learn. They learn off the side of the pool first, but the last level of swimming lessons involves going off a board, learning how to hurdle, which is that last little jumpy half step that you take before you go in, and learning how to dive off a board. That was, I believe, included in Jonathan's summary of Red Cross swimming lessons and what happens with when you learn to dive.
Okay, I'm looking at it now. Okay, yeah, it says learn
Level
to swim,
6.
level 6. Yeah, perform a 2-part takeoff with a free first entry from a 1-meter diving board. Okay. So how are we accommodating for this now?
Right.
We don't. And part of the reason I think what I remember about when the diving boards were taken out, it had a little bit to do with the depth. It mostly had to do with the, I don't know what the proper building term is, but the length of the diving well, that there wasn't enough deep water farther away from the board. They wanted a longer diving well so that if you took off and you dove straight out, kind of the pitch goes up like this. So this bottom piece wasn't long enough, and the pitch was too close to the end of the diving board. So that's why they took them out. It was the wrong construction.
All right, so then, I mean, yeah, the diving board I feel like is not like the I'll make or break it right now. So maybe Jonathan, if you want to follow up with someone from American Red Cross to see is that I'll make or break it, that would be great. That way we have a little bit more context, and we could
I
definitely
agree.
make a firm
Okay.
decision, you know, at a later point. Anyone else have questions for Patrick? I have a few, but I want to make sure. No? Okay. Going back to what you guys, go ahead, Eileen.
I did some research this week, and on the Department of Public Health public swimming pool regs, it says there has to be a 10-foot deep diving well with a 12-foot long to a 15-foot long run out. So that means that the base of the water has to be 15 feet out before it pitches back up to be a more shallow length. And we don't have that long of a run out at either pool, and that's why they were taken out.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. All right, and then yeah, for Patrick, the diagram that you guys showed us just then, I saw on the west side of the 6 swim lanes you added kind of like a walkway of some kind. I just wanted to ask, like, is that what you showed us still within that 1 year turnaround time for construction, or is that like a different kind of timeline?
Yeah, Tim, do you have that still? You're muted. But yes, to answer your question, yes.
Okay. All right. Love that. I mean, that's the only thing I had right off the top of my head. I think, honestly, I think talking about specific design stuff right now at this stage, I think is like a little bit premature. Like I think we have a few more steps to go through. We need to get money for an RFP and stuff like that. Like we had to get funds first before we can get into the well. But I like it. It looked nice. So that's good. My personal thoughts, as long as we can accommodate, you know, the Red Cross accreditations and then not really take away from what Newington already has, then I think that's like kind of the plan that I would get behind at least. But I mean, so far it looks nice. Eileen, go ahead.
Patrick, can you go over the geotechnical results? I'm a little bit confused by what was reported.
For Mill Pond?
Yes.
So essentially there's high water table. It's actually higher, or it was observed to be higher as you go east. So that's to the north of this plan that we're looking at, towards the center of the park, which was suggesting that water was accumulating nearby. And then you obviously have the pond to the south. So any construction in this area would need to observe best practices with regard to managing that water. So when the pool's in an empty state, ensuring that water levels are being monitored so that any uplift forces being generated by the displacement of water in the empty pool are being managed. So that could take the form of a dewatering system, a dewatering pump that can be hooked up in a variety of ways, but we're not totally there yet. And then going forward, in order to manage groundwater in the new pool scenario, installing a groundwater management system, so a network of drain under the pool that could take place within the pool shell itself, and then offer some level of hydrostatic relief to the pool.
Yeah, I was under the assumption that, well, I know that now they fill the pool in the winter to, I guess, basically avoid the what happens in the winter with the, you know what I mean, cracking and whatever because of the expansion and contraction due to the weather. So I think that, you know, water coming in the bottom, I don't know if you might see it because it would be dirty, but I don't know. You would certainly see it at Mill. And
Keeping water in the pool is generally good practice for a concrete pool.
Yeah.
The water helps to moderate some of the temperature swings that you're going to see during the winter, but it also offsets any buoyancy forces that might be generated by high groundwater. So
that was my next question. What's to stop the pool from popping and, you know, just being a floating tub?
Well, during periods of service, when the pool's full, there's equilibrium, so there's no issue. So it's in those temporary points when the pool's drained for maintenance purposes that you need to worry about it. In the system that is being proposed, there would be a means of lowering the water table locally around the pool during those periods with the assistance of a pump.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And with all of this, is it smart to build where, in your professional opinion, is it smart to build where it is? Are the bones good enough, or do we need to just pull it all apart and start over? Is it smarter is one word, more cost effective? Which way is more cost effective?
What you're doing offers a huge cost savings.
Okay.
So you're not removing the old pool shell. You're not re-excavating for a new shape or adding soil, as backfill. So there's a substantial cost savings. Some of that is certainly eroded by the fact that you're working with, hollow areas that need to be manually chipped out to get back to competent concrete. So there is, a portion of labor associated with that. So it's not as great of a savings as you might hope for, but we still think you come out significantly ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Now, Patrick, do you have anything to show us for Churchill Park?
In terms of a new plan?
Yeah, you had some for Mill, so I didn't know if you guys had anything for Churchill. Just wanted to ask.
We had only taken away an additional option for Mill to demonstrate in plan format that the 25-yard competition course could be maintained. But we had previously provided 3 options for Churchill, which again provide a range of options for configuration. So depending on what's important to the community, 50-meter, maintaining that, or right sizing the pool. I shouldn't say right sizing, but downsizing the pool to perhaps better meet community demand. That was shown going to a spray pad, which has less intensive lifeguard requirements. That was shown as well. So
so we showed a variety of different scales of maintaining the 50-meter length in one scenario, adding features into the pool, separating it out, having the 25-yard lap pool with a splash pad off to the side. And then, so that one kind of expanded beyond the limits of the existing pool structure. And then there was a scenario where we stayed kind of within the limits. Sorry, too far.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
different implications based on the orientation of how many lap lanes we got in there. I need to fix the labels on there. It's only 4 lanes.
No, you're okay.
And
All right.
Those would all be legal size laps, right? I'm sorry.
That would be for 25-yard.
Sorry, AJ, I'm not used to raising my hand here.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, it's fine.
I'm out of practice, sorry.
Okay. I had a question too. In theory, we're gonna expand Mill Pond to accommodate for those 6 lanes to be in the right length. Are we able to expand up if we wanted like a more depth for whatever reason? Is that like a feasible thing to do, just to raise the walls up?
So you're suggesting raising the entire deck in order to deepen the
Yeah,
pools?
if like depth is like a huge make or break it down the line, is that like a feasible thing to do, or are we kind of just stuck going down?
Well, I think everything we're proposing here is remaining the same.
Yeah.
And if we did go with what's called a deck level gutter, you'll actually pick up a little bit of depth that offsets any depth you lose due to, say, shotcrete relining the floor. So I'm not sure what you would gain from raising the deck.
No, life would actually become more difficult,
Yeah,
especially
you got
relative to trying
accessibility
to
as you
get
come
back
out.
to the bathhouse buildings.
Ah, okay. All right, good to
Yeah,
know.
true.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, this
All right, guys.
much more difficult.
Any other? Oh, Eileen, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Aren't the bathhouses, isn't the bathhouse going to get blown up anyway? So it could be raised as well?
Well, so that's part of the next study is to take a very close look at those buildings and help you make a determination whether renovation versus replacement makes more sense.
It's gusty.
Yeah. Bernadette, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I second that. At, at Churchill, there had always been a 50-meter pool, or was it 25-meter? It was
50
it was
meters.
meters, 50-meter. Um, and I don't think I don't think we ever moved to swimming meters, throughout Connecticut. I think usually it's a 25-yard pool is regulations still. So it wouldn't be any problem moving this pool from the meter to yards as far as competition or anything like that. I mean, if we, like in the rendition you're showing here, there's only two 50-meter lanes, so it's not like there could be any competitions there. Was that ever something, was there a reason why that one was done in meters as opposed to yards, or you wouldn't know? I know you weren't there when they planned it in the beginning all those decades ago. I'm just
Well,
I guess
when
curious as to why it may have been meters to begin with, and I don't think
the
it'll be any problem moving from meters to the 25-yard.
Yeah, maybe not. The definition of an Olympic sized pool is 50 meters. So likely when the pool was originally built, they sought out to build an Olympic sized pool. Um, 50 meters formats have become rarer and rarer, to the point where they're almost sought after commodity. I think we even heard something to that effect in our discussions with the various groups. Uh, so we wanted to show an option that maintained that in case it was important to the community. I think there are certain clubs who are swimming here for that specific format, which is still known, still in use today. It's still the Olympic format today. It's long course meters. But it's a very large pool and it's a lot to maintain. It's a lot to lifeguard. It's a lot of water to turn over. So if there isn't a very strong use or program to support it, then we showed some other options where pools brought down to a smaller size.
All right, thank you.
Eileen, go ahead.
NSC does use the long course swimming. They go every morning in the summer, bright and early, and they swim long course. And we would be one of the only pools around, one of the very few pools around that does maintain a long course pool. It always used to be a great place to have swim meets, which was a good source of revenue. I understand it's not quite deep enough right now because of the new regulation since it was built, so you couldn't put blocks there anymore, diving blocks there. If it was a little bit deeper, we could go back to having meets there. But I know there are kids that go very early every morning to swim. I think Nancy's kid used to go or did go or still goes, right, Nancy? Yes? I don't know.
Yeah, he used to do long course in the summertime.
Yeah.
He lifeguards now, so
Yeah.
at Mill Pond and Churchill sometimes.
And how much depth are we missing from Churchill that's stopping us from meeting that requirement?
You're missing probably, what do we go to, 4 feet at the Womo?
I don't think we designated, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure the attempt is to get 4 foot minimum for flip turns.
So for starting platforms, I would have to double check Connecticut. I know New York is 6 feet. So we're talking feet, not inches.
Yeah, a good amount.
Maybe 1 foot. Yeah. I think most of that wall, as it got closer to where the diving boards were, was deep enough, but then it got closer to where the landfill is. That side was too shallow.
I see.
And it looks like from the other renditions you showed, if we want to keep the meters, it really limits the splash pad.
Right.
So it really just changes everything. So it would be really having a discussion about whether we want to keep that or think which would be more valuable, the splash pad or maintaining that those Olympic size lanes.
Yeah, so I mean, it does come down to who are the target audiences, not just the one of the lap swimmers. Is this primarily going to be a neighborhood, family oriented? Let's focus on the kids and families versus people coming out to either swim team or swim laps or adult swimmers. And so just being able to balance all those out and based on, which is why we show a variety of options so you can make some decisions on that.
Gotcha. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's an important point. We have to balance the use. Would a splash pad get more use than the lap swimmers? We also have to balance out this thing we're looking the layout we're looking at here. I can see we'd have to have a lot more lifeguards because it's spread out more. Where a smaller layout would be fewer lifeguards because it's more compact. It's also less water to turn over, so it's easier to maintain and run. And so those are all issues I think that coming down the road we have to look at. We have to make some decisions on. It would be great to have a pool that would do everything for everybody, but I mean, these are decisions we all have to make. We all make these decisions in our everyday life. We have to make what's best for the majority of the people.
Agreed. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I was kind of going on that same path with the lifeguards. So if you look at, so Churchill C, do we know if you did it like for lifeguards, how many lifeguards would be needed for like this one versus the longer one? Like, is it significantly less? Because I know we talked about staffing at one point, and then, by the end of the summer, we don't have as much lifeguards. So maybe there's potential if we do a certain layout, we could keep it open a little bit longer. I just didn't know what like, is it 10 versus 5 or even a ballpark? I don't know if anyone knows that.
Well, so a little bit of combination of both the layout of the pool as well as your usage. So kind of American Red Cross has a recommendation of one lifeguard for every 25 swimmers. But but configuration wise, the variety of pools will have an impact because it also gets back to timing and distance for how far a lifeguard has to go in order to make a rescue. So I don't think we got to the level of detail yet of doing a full guard analysis. uh,
That's fair.
each
Yeah.
of the points?
Yeah. Just if you looked at like A versus, concept A versus concept B and C, it's a lot longer across.
Right.
To me, just like I'm not an expert, but it seems like you need more lifeguards because it's a far distance versus you're in some ways almost cutting the pool in half and adding a bigger splash pad. So you'd have less lifeguards. You don't need lifeguards at the splash pad if we go that route. So it just brought to my mind maybe we solve a little bit of our lifeguard issue later in the summer potentially and are able to keep it open maybe a little longer. I'm not saying we can. That's where my head was going with that.
No, staffing
point.
is a very important consideration. Just the ability to have lifeguards and also the cost that goes along with training and paying their salaries.
Eileen, go ahead.
Couple things. As far as the lifeguards go, in with the current configuration of what Churchill Park looked like, we always had 3 lifeguards on duty, one in the deeper end of the pool where the lane lines began, one in the middle, and then one down in more of the shallow end. If it got really crowded, there was a rover on the deck. So there was only 4 that were required. Later on, you had to put somebody in the wading pool when they redid it and got a little deep. And the other thing about this splash pad, it was probably a previous pool committee. There was some discussion about putting the splash pad outside the pool area so that it could be used off season. So it would extend the life of a place for kids to go to cool off when it was either preseason or postseason, because you wouldn't need a lifeguard. There would be a place there for showers and a toilet, so kids would have availability of that. And then the water would be able to be recirculated and reused. And there was room between the shallow end of the pool, as it is now. There's some grassy area, and there's some grassy area before the basketball courts that, depending on how it was configured, that they figured a splash pad would fit in.
Yeah, so there is the possibility of dividing the space so that your pool area is sectioned off from the splash pad. And when there's no lifeguard on duty, the pool area is closed, but the splash pad can remain open.
Good.
Nice. Yeah.
Requires a little bit of thought as to how we maintain the access to the bathhouse and not permit.
It was a separate, it was a separate bathhouse.
Yep.
It was just kind of where, I guess, sort of in the vicinity of where the pump house is now for the wading pool. It was like in that area over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bernadette?
I was just curious, and maybe someone from the Parks and Rec Board would be best to answer this question. Do we have any issues or problems getting enough lifeguards every year? Is that getting harder to do, filling those positions? I know at the end of the summer, as Jim referred to, they close the pools early, so the college kids can get back to school. They have to get back earlier. So, but I was just wondering, is it difficult filling all the spots for the lifeguards, or is there still plenty of people who apply for that?
They'll have to interview. It's not a given. It's not a given, thing that you get a job. It's not even a given thing that you pass the class anymore. But we do have enough. It's just between kids going back to college, and also a lot of those lifeguards are athletes and they have preseason training. So it does butt up against, that's before school starts. So it butts up against the length of that the pools can remain open. They do leave Mill open for an extra week for that's for the campers and for the public as well.
Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. Do we have any more questions for Tim or Pat while we have them here? Okay, doesn't seem like it. So I'll say thank you guys for coming. I'm sure we're going to see your faces again in the near future. So we appreciate all the work that you guys have been doing here.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, our
Just
pleasure.
one quick question I had before they
Thank
go.
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just, are they going to give us some reports on the bathhouses? What the plans are for the bathhouses?
So we looked at those at a very high level in terms of capacity. Depending on which scheme is chosen, it's
Okay.
going to suggest a different bather load that the bathhouse needs to support.
I
So
get
we'd
it.
evaluate it against that and determine if an addition, expansion, replacement is warranted based on your
So I
capacity.
guess just so we pick for instance we pick A B C D whatever, and then you from there you determine what the bathhouse requirements are. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
want to make sure where we are. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there's definitely work to be done there in terms of assessing and assessing it against whatever design is ultimately selected.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So if we're all good here, then we can move on to our next agenda item, which is just a continuance from our conversation from last meeting. So it's a continued committee discussion about pool renovation options. Last meeting, we kind of left off on the note that we would all submit questions that we had to Jonathan, who would then send them over to Bill, with the end goal of determining whether or not we want to pursue having one or two pools in town. So we could start off talking about that, and then we could open the discussion for anything, open discussion, any thoughts that you guys might have there. And I'll start. I'll kick it off. So after reviewing, after going through the questions and the answers, I personally feel like we should probably just maintain the two pools that we have. I'm not huge on taking away anything from the public, to be honest. And then I'm not fully convinced that if we went down to one pool, the time would be able to be rationed between Parks and Rec campers, the public, and things like that. I could just foresee it becoming kind of like a contentious point of availability. So those are my initial thoughts on that. Go ahead, Tim.
I would agree. I think we should maintain two pools. One pool we can do different things at different pools, but I think we should maintain two pools.
Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, did it come up at the Parks and Rec meeting or anything about the programming and how that would be affected if there was one pool versus two? Did that ever get discussed?
There was not a lot of pool talk
No.
at the last
Okay.
Parks and Rec
Wasn't
meeting.
any-
No.
Because I was just trying to figure out, like, programming wise, how it would work even if we had one pool. It seemed like it'd be very difficult just on the surface with all the campers and whatnot.
For the amount of people that they have, amount of kids that they have signed up for it, I know it's in like the tens of thousands, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong, Eileen, but I just feel like it's a large number. I could be wrong. I thought someone said like they had like, I don't know how many kids signed up. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not tens of thousands, but it's a lot of
Yeah.
kids.
It's a lot of
That's
kids.
visits, yeah.
It seems like tens of thousands.
I think it's like 500 at each park or something.
Okay,
Something like that,
a
yeah.
little off.
Yeah, not if there's 10,000 kids at Bill Pond, that's gonna be a lot.
That's a third of the town, yeah.
Okay, and then I guess it wasn't mentioned then, but there was talk about some sort of legislation around the camps, and that potentially there was nothing talked about with that. Just I'm trying to think.
That's been elevated, I think, twice now, and they just haven't passed that at the state level. So our current parks director is anticipating that happening, but it's a what if, so it's hard to really,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I'm trying to have the information I know just to make a decision of what if is hard. So it's like what we know today versus what could happen in the future, but you're trying to plan for the future as best you can. So I didn't know if we heard anything, so it doesn't sound.
We could reach out to our state reps, and feel them out to see if that's something that is being pushed, and they can give us their best insight on it.
Well, and what criteria is there? Because that could affect what we may have to do in the bathhouses or something like that too, right? Because I think there was something about AEDs and I know, I mean, in Churchill is the exact, I think we're okay at Mill Pond, but Churchill, you're off. There's no building there. The kids are outside all day.
Mm-hmm.
Had kids there all day. So I see them coming back all red faced from being, in the pool and whatnot. But okay. So I guess no information on that at this point.
Gotcha. All right. Eileen, go ahead.
About the facts and figures that came from Parks and Recreation, I think there's one thing that's missing in there that needs to be considered. We have hundreds of kids that come to camp. All the monies that they pay to go to camp goes into the camp budget, but they spend a good deal of time in the pool, and that revenue isn't shown in the pool budget. They also get swimming lessons, and if they were a public person, they'd be paying for those swimming lessons. That money doesn't go into the pool budget. So, they don't have to buy a pool pass because they're there for camp. So there is more revenue coming in from the pool than is actually reflected in some of those numbers.
Okay. Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, I'm definitely in favor of the two pools. And I think with the new designs, I think even at Churchill, if we designed it in a way where it would bring in more families and more people from the community, I think it would be definitely beneficial to us. So yeah, I like the idea of the two pools.
Okay. Tim, go ahead.
I just want to make sure we don't plan these pools just based around the camp either. These pools are for the community, not just for the camp people. I think the camp is important, but certainly is one of the prime users of the pool. But it's not just for the camp kids; it's for the whole community. So we should make sure that the pools have amenities that the whole community can use, and that's why I think just having one pool wouldn't suffice. Whether it's the Churchill or Mill, it just wouldn't work. I think we really still need two pools.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah, the numbers that were provided, does that include campers or not include campers?
Yes.
It includes them?
Yes.
Okay. That's why I just want to make sure, because, and then to your point, Eileen, it sounds like the revenue listed, which we probably have to put this out on the website too, right? Right. I think that might be something we want to do unless there's information we're not supposed to put out there, but it seems like the revenue was less than I expected because I knew there'd probably be a loss, but there was a significant, well, I guess for the town, maybe it's not significant, but there was a loss. But if it's not factoring in the camp kids, I think the numbers are a little skewed a little bit.
Yes.
But I mean, it does seem like just based on the trend as we go back, relatively consistent. There's a fair amount of people that go and use these pools. I mean, it depends on the weather, weekends or whatever, some days, you'll up and down, but it does seem like two pools is kind of the way we should approach this.
All right. Bernadette, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, looking at all the data from, the amount of people using both pools, it is clear that Mill Pond is used more, whether it's more popular or it's more, whatever the reason. But I don't think Churchill is that far behind. It's actually pretty close. So I think the usage shown on the data suggests to me that it's still a good idea to have the two pools. It's not half the number. It's not a fraction of. It's still pretty close. So I would agree on the two pools.
Nice. Jim, do you have more?
I forgot to lower my hand.
It's okay. Okay, so I mean, it sounds like we're all in agreement here, which is great. I don't think we need to take a formal vote of some kind. I think we could all just be acknowledge that, unless you guys want to. I can go either way, but it sounds good. I think two pools is the right thing to do for our community, which is great. Um, Next, I would open the floor. I know we got the report from Weston Sampson last year in November. So I don't know if you guys want us to start talking about the different types of options for each pool and try to kind of whittle down into getting into a position where you feel comfortable deciding on an option. So if you guys are open to talk about that, I would love to get that discussion started.
Can I kick that discussion off?
Yeah, of course.
That's
Yeah.
the 800-pound gorilla in the room is that we no longer have any funding for pool studies. We're in the middle of the budget, developing the budget for next year, and we can certainly, if the pool committee would need, well, actually, we will have some money. I can't remember how much, it's 25,000, I want to say, once we get to the next fiscal year from from that state implementer bill. I think it was 25,000. I can get back to you on a specific number, but what I did ask Patrick to provide was a cost estimate for that next stage to get, an actual design cost estimates for there to be a referendum. And I can follow up with him on that number. But why don't I sort of work on kind of what the pool committee would need for next year so that you could in the future get it to referendum.
Great.
That
Yeah,
sounds-
that'd be good. Okay. And Jim, go ahead.
Eileen was raising her hand.
Oh, go ahead,
I
Eileen.
didn't hit
I lost my cursor there. Given that this is such a large project and costly project, does this have to go out to RFP again? Because I would assume that it surpasses the minimum level to not have to do that. I thought what we did for Weston and Sampson was to ask them to do what they did, but I didn't know that bound us to them as builders of the pool. I'm confused about how this all works out.
Well, it's a professional service, so you do an RFP just in the interest of transparency. There's no requirement, obviously, that Weston Sampson get a quote, and it's the committee's prerogative about how to select a vendor for the next stage. But I think getting a quote from Weston and Sampson would at least frame the issue as far as how much money we'd need.
Right.
Yeah, but do we need to send it to RFP before? I mean, we're looking at all these
Well,
designs.
again, as I said, it's a
Yeah.
professional service. So you go to RFP for professional service for the purpose of transparency and to find the best vendor. There's no requirement that you do that. So again, it's the committee's prerogative about how to move forward on that. All I'm saying is that I need to sort of set the table about how much money we would need for that next stage.
Okay.
Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, because I think that's where I'm going. The next steps. So it sounds like we have to do an RFP for a design. And if I'm inaccurate, please let me know. But when we did the last RFP, we did get some raw numbers, I thought, that were in hundreds of thousands for a design, if I remember correctly.
I have it pulled up here. One moment.
So obviously there's no budget for that now, and it's getting to be budget season. So the new year doesn't start till July 1st.
Right.
So I just don't know. I guess my thoughts are how would we even get that to referendum if we can't start our design until July 1st?
Well, as a practical matter, based on what I sent, the material that I sent, yeah, you would be able to get it on the November ballot because you would need to have something in front of council to get the ball rolling for an ordinance in late June. So yeah, it wouldn't be practical. So you're talking realistically, you're talking like a
Next year.
2027 referendum.
So I just want to be, if that's okay, if that's what people are thinking, that's fine. I just the numbers weren't the schedule wasn't lining up to this November based on that.
Personally, for me, I think that trying to get this on the ballot at the end of the year would be like running a marathon. I don't think that we need to do that in this particular case. I think it'd be just a lot more of a solid process if we just take our time and we bring it to referendum when it's ready. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to use the hand feature. So
Yeah.
were they not going to go through and look at the pools and do some sort of insurance study as well? Did
So
they
I can
do
give
that?
an update on that. So
Yeah.
we had a conversation with PERMA, the insurer, as well as the town attorney. Bill DeMayo was on the call. We also had the Department of Health on the call to talk about basically whether the pools are insurable, and I think Patrick was on the call as well. Or Patrick, you weren't on the call, were you? Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think Weston Sampson was on that call. But regardless, so I think they had some concerns. Takerma had some concerns, and there was some concern specifically about the about like kids, like their hair, or their little kids, their fingers getting caught in the filter. But that's something actually that we are on top of, and we did talk to Patrick about amending the report so that it was made clear that we are in compliance with those. I can't remember the word, but just so that
Yeah.
you don't
Entrapment.
get your stuff caught in entrapment, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
so
sorry, we weren't on the call.
Yeah, Patrick and I were gonna just go back and tweak that section of the report, based on the information that my staff has provided to him. I mean, the gist of it though is that, I mean, the Kerma has concerns, needless to say. We addressed a number of them. Over time it may, increase our premiums, but there are certainly no, they're not going to say the pools are uninsurable. We will not cover them. They didn't go that far. Um, and, so it's sort of, business as usual. We also had a productive conversation as part of that with Central Connecticut Health District about some of their, the things that they look at when they open up the pool, because there's a very short window of time between when they do their final inspection and the pool opens up. But, there was clearly a collaborative sort of team approach that the health district would take with us to make sure that we're in compliance, rather than to sort of surprise us at the 11th hour of, you forgot this little thing, so you can't open up. So we're getting there. I mean, I think the bottom line is that a couple of, like, I's to dot, T's to cross, but there's no reason we can't open the pools. That's the $64,000 question.
Yeah, and I just to kind of continue on that, just the pools, no concerns about opening the pools this year, it sounds like, from that conversation based on those meetings. But based on our timeline now, we would then have, if it doesn't go to referendum November, we're opening the pool this year. So 26, 27. And I don't know when they can start, but even 28 could be up for a debate. So it's at least 2 to 3 more years of using the pools as they currently sit. So just, we have to, I guess, take that into account. I mean, I know they can break at any point, but right now we're saying at least 2 to 3 years until potentially something could happen.
Could we have
Yeah.
a sorry,
No, go ahead.
could we have a special referendum if we needed to? Like if we were on course and, let's say we don't make it to this November's election, but we're ready to go, let's say January, February of the following year, could we maybe just do a special referendum just for the pools? It probably would cost us a little bit more, but
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I think I guess it would really come down to that time, like whether if there's a demanding need for it, I guess. And obviously, like when that time comes, like I think Jonathan and the rest of the council would have to decide whether that's the way they want to go. Tim, go ahead.
Just to keep in mind, a special referendum is an additional cost, about $30,000,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also a higher threshold to pass. So
the turnout probably
if,
would be.
if
Yeah.
it's based on the number. I think it's based on, if I recall, based on the number of voters, not turnout. So it's a higher threshold. So you have to get more people, more affirmative votes than 51% to pass, and that's more difficult sometimes. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So it sounds like moving forward, what we really need to do now is secure funds. Sounds like probably the most important thing that we could do. That'll come with time, right? We can't really force that any faster than the clock can. But then I still think it would be prudent to talk about how everyone feels about the different kind of options for each pool, just
I
to
think
kind
so.
of feel out what they're thinking about. And I'll start. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the liner. I don't see that being a timely, effective means to go. I did think that I believe it was the second option, the steel beam liner system was my favorite. I think that was the second most expensive too. I don't think it was the most expensive. Um, I could be getting them confused though, but I think that gives us the longest lifespan of the pools. Um, but I could be wrong there. But yeah, I'm open. I would love to hear what everyone else thinks about it. Yeah, Bernadette, go ahead.
Yeah, a huge concern of mine is the longevity. That's mainly what I'm going for rather than the cost because it all evens out in the end. If it's going to last longer, and we know how difficult it is to get a project like this done, I would like to see something that is going to last the longest. But I thought it was the concrete. I thought it was the third option.
Was
That
it?
was,
Yeah, you might be right. For whatever reason, I like brain fuzz, and I knew it was like one of the two, but
I could
whichever
be
one was like
wrong.
the longer one. I think the concrete takes away a little bit of depth. If I'm
Yes,
it, but that would last longer. It's like they said, putting a pool inside a pool, right? Isn't that what they had said? Um,
yeah,
yeah, and I
that's
think
how
that
I remember
is
it.
the one that I was going by. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it also depends on what we're looking for the layout too. I think um, one of the engineers told us, I think it was Tim, that told us that if we're going to, for instance, at Churchill, if we're going to reconfigure the pool, that involves more concrete work. So the concrete would be cheaper actually because we're going to bring the concrete's coming in anyway to do that. So I think that's also we should look at how we're going to reconfigure the pools, especially at Churchill where that's more of an option I think than at Mill. So that's should sort of be done in conjunction. I agree too. Also, that I think it's the longevity is the it's certainly a factor how well it's going to last because I don't want to have to go through this every well it won't be my problem later on we don't want to go through this every 20 years but I think it's important to make sure we get value for our expense. So I think it's but we also should look at what we want for especially at Churchill. Excuse me, the layout, because if we're doing some major renovations anyway, the concrete would be a little less costly because they're already making concrete the deliveries there anyway to change the layout.
Agreed. Okay. Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, so the three options were the PVC liner, which was a third of the cost, the new concrete shell, which is the longest, the most durable, it's about 30 years, and then the stainless steel panel, which that was about 20 to 30 years, depending on the maintenance. But I agree, I think we should definitely think about for the long run, what's going to last the longest. So I agree.
Cool. Nice. Eileen, go ahead.
I think my biggest worry about this whole thing is that I feel like I hope we wouldn't be covering up bad bones. It's like building a house on a bad structure. I would hope that the skeleton that they're building over is okay to move forward. That's where I get concerned.
Okay. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, so just from the next RFP process, if we start trying to write that up, we don't maybe have the money, but we could start writing up what we think we want. Is that correct? Because how specific should we be getting here? Do we say, well, we want 2 pools with the concrete, or do we leave it a little bit open ended? Or I'm just trying to figure out. I don't want to stymie creativity from these firms, but I also think we need to be at least a little bit specific, because we could end up with a bunch of things we don't want. Even just with what was shown, I love slides and all that stuff. There are some really cool slides, but I just don't think it makes sense for what we're trying to do here. Maybe we do a small slide. I'm not saying don't do a small slide, but some of them were just a little bit too much. So I just feel like, how narrow do we need to get versus leaving it a little bit open?
My personal thoughts, I think, as far as the amenities go, the small little add-ons, I don't know if they're going to have too much impact on the foundation that we choose. I don't know if you can't have a slide if we do a liner. I would assume that it doesn't have a huge impact. So I think if, and it doesn't have to be tonight, but maybe by next meeting or the meeting after, if we can home in on the type of system that we want to use for each pool, I think that gives us a good position to start writing up an RFP, just so we have the base foundation specifics of what we want there. And ultimately, I feel like the small thing, the little design, is probably one of the more later steps that we'll probably talk about, just because they're just add-ons, right? They're not structurally integral to the pool or anything like that.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure we're all thinking the same thing, because I think the only other thing was the splash pads, and maybe coming up with some sort of consensus on, do we want 2 splash pads, 1 splash, do we want the wading pools? I think that's at least getting into some structural things. But yeah, we should
that makes sense.
probably add that, if we want splash pads at both of them, we should write that out and say it.
Yep. Okay. All right, Eileen, go ahead.
Whether or not we have a diving board does affect the structure of the pool. That's one thing. But I think we need to really consider, do we send an RFP out just for 1 pool or for 2 pools? Because I think that given what's happened in the past, if we send 2 pools to referendum, I think we're dead. It's not going to happen. I think we need to do 1 at a time. We're certainly not going to rip up both pools at the same time anyway. We're going to do 1 at a time. So we might as well send it out to RFP for 1 pool, send it to referendum for 1 pool, get that done and move on to the next one. Because, by the time you get the RFP done and you get the construction done, costs are going to jump anyway. So our cost estimates are going to go up by, probably 10% or so. It depends. Who knows? So I would guess that it's probably safer, if we want to get this passed, to do 1 at a time. My other concern is that there are several things that are due to go out to referendum this election, from word on the street. How many make it, I don't know. But if the firehouse is out there, if the library's out there, we have far exceeded our bond capacity. So we're going to have to find some grant money somewhere, seriously, some big grant money somewhere, from the state, from the Fed, something to get this done.
Okay. All right, Bernadette, go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering if we would have to do different referendums, 1 referendum for 1 pool 1 year and then another one, or do we want to make a recommendation that it be done in stages, with 1 pool 1 year and the next pool, whichever pool we decide is going to be, the first one to be renovated. That's another discussion as well. All in 1 referendum in stages, in 2 separate years, or doing it or are we thinking of 2 separate referendums? So it's all for discussion. I was thinking it would need to be done in stages anyway, as you said, Eileen, we're not going to do both pools at the same time. That doesn't make sense. Keep one open while the other one's down. So, and then people know that this is what we have in mind instead of, oh, they're just ignoring Churchill or whichever one isn't the first pool, they'll know, yes, we have it in mind. This is part of the plan. And it might make more sense to the public in general and easier to pass too, if they know we've got a plan for both of them.
Yeah, I like that. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Bernadette. I think we should do one referendum. You may stage the work to be, one works, it starts in different times, but it may be beneficial to work them both at the same time because the equipment's already here in town. It may be that it's cheaper to have the equipment stay in town. However they work it, that's on them, I guess, or whoever's doing the construction. But I think if we try to fool the public and say we're only working at one pool again, that the public will see through that. And I think that's part of the problem with last referendum is they said, well, what about Churchill? I think we were charged to look at both pools, and we should have a referendum for both pools, because we should keep in mind that we're spending money for both pools, not just one pool, but both pools. We have to account for the dollars for two pools. And that's what the public expects.
Jonathan, you obviously know a little bit more than all of us about, getting referendum questions onto the ballot. So does that seem like something feasible like that, where we could word it in a way that clearly defines that this is for both pools? It's going to be done in stages. Is that?
I mean, the referendum question is really straightforward and basic. It's are you in support of issuing X million dollars in order to renovate or upgrade the pool at Middle Pond and Churchill? I don't know. So I mean, it's a question for bond counsel about how the language of the referendum is phrased. I do know that it's intentionally, the question on the referendum is intentionally as straightforward as possible. So if you throw in that variable, like we'll do this in 1 year and then we'll wait 8 months to do the next. I don't know. I need to run that past the hires up.
Yeah, and they might have better verbiage off the top of their heads. Yeah. Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of say the one pool last time, I think the public didn't like that we only thought of the one pool. So the two pools, I think we have to at least come up with a plan and show the plan. Whether we do Mill Pond 1 year and then Churchill the next year, but that's the plan, and we can show them that's the plan. And I think people would be okay with that, saying, well, we can't do it all at once, but we're going to do this one next year. But I think maybe that's something we could put in the RFP of, can you give us timelines or general timelines? Because what I was hearing in one of the meetings is they could do it off season, right, and it doesn't interrupt the pools. So, I mean, I obviously would want to hear that again and see that in the design. But if that's the case, that's good. We wouldn't be out of a pool. I mean, that's the ideal solution of not down a pool for a season. So I think that's the stuff we should put in here and have timelines of, like, what is a logical timeline if you did the design. I don't feel like that's unreasonable to ask them. I mean, they do this all the time based on all our information. I feel like they should be able to do that.
All right, Eileen.
In theory, I agree that, with the two pools being put together, my concern is that with everything that's going on in town, we could be very close to our bond capacity. And if we ask for too much money, we're going to get a flat no. If we only ask for one pool 1 year and then 2 years later ask for the second pool, we probably have a better shot of it passing and having the ability to bond that money. If we don't have the ability to bond that money, we're going to be out both pools instead of just one.
My thoughts on this whole kind of topic, especially about the bond stuff, is that, like, ultimately it comes down to council on, like, what they want to, like, elevate up for a referendum, if that's the case. And I feel like, as far as our committee goes, I think we should just kind of, like, put our blinders on and get a plan together. And then like, it'll fall on us to present to council and, just fight for why this is important, stuff like that. And I think that if we worry too much about like everything that's stopping this process from happening, like we're not going to have enough time to think about what we need to do to get it to the finish line. So, but I do acknowledge your concerns. I think there are valid concerns. And budget season's coming up. Who knows what's going to happen at the end of April or so. So we'll just have to keep in the back of our minds. But I do want to see focus on just like getting a solid fit plan going now.
It just we have to give the public one cost for both pools because that's what they're expecting.
Agreed. Yeah, I can get behind that too. Okay, so it sounds like maybe for our next course, maybe the proper thing to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, is maybe get like a draft RFP going so that way it's ready to go once we have those funds.
Well,
I don't know if
yeah, I mean, as I said, it's going to be 5 months.
Yeah. That is long.
I mean, I guess we could put out the RFP before we obligate the money. So we could put out the RFP in May, I guess. So we do have the luxury of quite a bit of time, though. But
Yeah,
I
a
can
lot of
certainly
time.
tee up a shell of an RFP for you guys for the next time, and we just start to plug away at it over the next couple of months.
How's that sound, guys?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, then we can continue to talk about the options that we want to do. We could dissect the RFP, make sure it's up to like everyone's accepted standards. I think that's good. And yeah, like Jonathan says, we do have a lot of time before we could take any kind of real action. So I want to be calculative in the sense that we're not just getting together and not making any kind of progress. So I want to make sure that we're getting things checked off the list there. Any other comments on this topic, on the pool renovation options, guys? Good. All right, we'll move on to new business, which is a review of the 2026 meeting dates. Jonathan has sent this out to everybody. Did anyone have any concerns or any gripes about the dates or anything like that?
Look good to me.
It's fine.
Okay.
So, we want to meet then, keep meeting in the next 3 or 4 months without interruption.
I want to say that we should keep it on board. That we're meeting for the next couple months. Our next meeting, we should keep it, and then maybe we'll have a little bit more information on where we stand. If by the end of next meeting we can't really take any meaningful action and there's nothing to really discuss, we could always talk about foreloading the following meeting until like we get there. But for right now, I think that's fine. Oh, Bernadette, go ahead.
The meetings are still the last or the fourth Monday of the month?
Correct.
That hasn't changed. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
I just wanted to confirm that. And I agree. Why not keep it on the schedule? And if we don't need it, if we don't need to meet, we can take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Because if we can't change the meetings, we'll never get the same day again. We'll all have backfilled with other meetings.
That's so true. All right, great. All right, love that. So let's move on to item number 10. We have public participation again. I can see here there is someone online, Miss Dana Havens. Should be good to go once Jonathan unmutes you.
Yeah, she's good. Oh, there she goes. Wait.
Hi, yeah. The box has to pop up on my side to unmute on my side before I can talk, just so you know. Okay. So, Dana Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue. First of all, congratulations to AJ and Tim on your new positions. And I'm just wondering, my last committee met like rapid fire to get the last plant into referendum. And now suddenly I'm hearing you say, let's not rush. And apparently, there's some sort of safety issue. Jonathan referred to the insurance company having some
No,
trepidation.
sir.
No, I don't care. You can interrupt me. Well, John, you said that there was some question and our rates might go up. So it's like, as a parent or even as an adult swimmer, you know, okay, sure, maybe you pay a little bit more, no big deal, but I'd like everything to be nice and safe. And, we've heard through the years how these pools are going to explode and people are going to go floating out. I don't want to go floating out of the pool. And just as you guys were briefly talking about designs and whatnot, I feel you need to decide which pool you're going to design for families and which pool is going to accommodate the swim team. And by the way, I still don't know how many kids from Newington are actually on the swim team, because it seems like we're going through a lot of hoops and how many kids are we actually benefiting here? And also, Eileen has asked several times last meeting, asked again this meeting, if the bones were good, and doesn't make sense to build within the existing footprint. And the answer has always been yes. So let's just know that this is going to happen, and let's design it this way. And you're talking about going out to RFPs and putting one off to another year and all that, but can't the builders just design both or price out both for us, and then you determine which one you're going to bring to referendum when? I don't know. I'm just so tired of all this. I just want to keep these meetings going. I like to see it go just as fast as the last one and get it to referendum this November. All right, that's it. Thanks.
All righty, thank you. Is there anyone else online who would like to participate? Yeah, well, we have one more. Oh, we have two more. All right, great. So, Jonathan, dealer's choice, whoever.
Yeah, Scott.
Yes, Scott Gruskowski again, 46 Miami Avenue. Red Cross training keeps getting brought up, saying that we can't do Red Cross training, yet you keep posting ads online saying you're having Red Cross lifeguard training at the high school. That's number one. Number two, you say you can't do Cross training because you don't have a diving board. How is the Red Cross training being done now? We haven't had a diving board at the pool for at least 18 years. It was taken out when my kids were little. So it's been a long time since we had diving boards. And I remember when they came out, I talked to Bill about it, and Bill told me that it was more an insurance issue, a liability issue at the time for the main reason the diving board's coming out. That's what he explained to me at the time. I don't know if he would just, give me a quick answer to send me off, but that's what he said at the time. And with that, I bid you all a good night. And since you're not driving home, stay safe at home. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, and we have one more on public.
Braddock. You try again. Braddock, you should be good to go. Braddock,
How's that? Is that better?
There you go.
All right. Matt Braddock, 69 Audubon Avenue. Just want to start by saying good meeting tonight. Seemed to be relatively productive. AJ, congratulations, everybody with new positions. Hope we're all happy with what's going on. I do agree with Dana. Kind of what she was saying is it seems like we're in a position to do one pool kind of as more of a family-oriented, zero entry splash pad deal. One pool kind of more as the aquatic center, competition-based. So I would like to see us maybe kind of explore that as we go into the design phase. To me, it probably makes more sense to have Mill Pond be a little bit more family-oriented, since it's kind of more inside of a neighborhood and related to the Parks and Rec department right next door, versus Churchill has the accommodation for the 50-meter, which I know a lot of people really do enjoy swimming their long lap. So if you could find a way to get both 50 and 25 potentially in Churchill, that might make it a really nice venue for more swim meet oriented things. Whereas Mill Pond could have more of the splash pad features, zero entry, stuff like that. More of the family oriented stuff there. That would probably also benefit the park, since I know the camp kids aren't going to be going swimming 50 meters. Obviously need to keep the bathhouses in mind. Glad to see people brought that one back up. We want to make sure that those stay in. And then just one other thing I wanted to float about Mill Pond. I love that we're building it within the existing shell, not expanding or taking away from the pool deck in any way. But I did notice that the fencing looked to be the original outline of the fencing as well. And I'd like to point out that the area from behind the fence up until the pond is a really great piece of land, really great piece of the park that gets super underutilized. So if it is possible to maybe extend the fence line somehow, maybe plant some grass, do shaded picnic tables or stuff like that, utilizing the trees that are between the current fence line and the pond, just to make more of a sitting area. I don't believe there's any grass inside of the fence at Mill Pond the way it is now. So more just like a picnic area, stuff like that. People can go sit out, be on the grass, under the trees. More of a park integration with the pool than parks on one side, pools on the other side kind of thing. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. It's a great idea. All right. Anyone else online? Let me see here. I don't see anyone else's hands. Okay. Thank you, everyone who participated. Appreciate that. Number 11, comments by committee members. Any comments on public participation, guys? Oh, yeah, Nancy, go ahead.
Okay, so just to respond to Miss Dana Havens' question about the swimmers, it's about 60 to 70 swimmers that use Churchill Pool for the swim club.
All right. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
And then, yeah, I guess to address a few points there too. I don't want the perception to come off as we're being casual about the timeline for this. But I do know, like the last time the pool went to referendum, one of many points that people didn't like was how rushed the process was. So I think we're just trying to find a balance between, making this a priority, but then also not rushing this whole thing. Comments about the diving board. I definitely, as someone who works in insurance, I understand why diving boards are seen as a risk, and I understand why municipalities don't get them. I do also have questions about what we're doing as far as Red Cross accommodations without the crossing, without the diving board. So I think maybe reaching out to our current parks director and asking more details about that would be good, just for context. And then I do actually, I like the idea about expanding the pool area and having like a little sit down picnic. I think that's great, actually, to be honest. So, Tim, go ahead.
I just would thank Eileen for her leadership up to this point. I appreciate where she's gotten us to. I think we've had a great meeting tonight, and I look forward to serving under AJ. I think we're heading in the right direction. It's a long and tedious process, but we'll get there eventually. And I think it's the first meeting of the new year, so Happy New Year, everyone. Hopefully we don't get any more snow and we can all shovel up.
Yeah, all right. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Eileen?
Not till Sunday anyway. I hear Sunday we're getting more snow. So.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
My snowblower should be working by then.
School's a delay tomorrow. That's all I know. We didn't get the day
Is it
off
delayed
again.
tomorrow?
Lots of schools did. Yep, we got a delay
Oh my
tomorrow.
God.
Oh, great. Yeah, I have
Yep.
two grandkids from Bristol. No school tomorrow in Bristol, so.
Yeah, we have school. Well, so far anyway. As long
Yeah,
as they
so
get
far,
those
yeah.
sidewalks shoveled. But thank you for your comments, Tim. I appreciate that. As far as Mr. Groskowski, Red Cross training is done at the high school because the pool is deeper. They can finish that last level by using that diving board there as well. That doesn't happen in the summer because we don't have that diving board. I would really, really like to see a diving board at least one of the pools. I think it's a rite of passage for a lot of kids the first time they go off that diving board. And some of us who are old school, Newington born and bred, we used to have a high dive that was very tall, and that was always a big deal if you went off the high dive. That was
Scared the hell out of me.
Oh yeah. But when you did it, you were like, yeah, I got it. Mr. Braddock, there is grass inside the pool area. There are picnic tables that are set there. They're not traditional, they're round and they have an umbrella in them so that the kids can stay cool in the camp, or people who come in the afternoon who want a place to sit and set up and whatever. There are little spots to eat inside Mill. There are down in the shallow end of Churchill Pool as well, down the shallow side toward where the basketball courts are, that end. There are some picnic tables set up in there as well. And I know there's seating area in where the wading pool is at Churchill. So those are just two things that people brought up. But I do agree that, it would be nice if we're able to have two pools, to one have more recreational and one more competitive. That would be a great thing, so that we could have a place to have swim meets and bring some people into town. It'd be good for making some extra money, good for businesses in town, because there's a lot of people that come to those swim meets and they bring some revenue to the especially the places to eat in town. It's a money-making thing for the town, and it can show off what a beautiful place we live. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I think actually Eileen answered one question, because I think the takeaway was around the diving board. So today they used the high school pool for the diving board section of the Red Cross. That's what it sounds like. So if we can talk about the diving board at future, but at least that answers that question. I think just the other thing is, we mentioned the takeaway to go back to the state legislatures. Is that, Jonathan, are you taking that away, or?
Yeah, I can. I mean, the discussion
Yeah.
around the legislation from last year wasn't really around pools specifically. It was about background
teams.
checks and staffing and things like that. So I wasn't 100% sure what Bill was referring to when we went down that rabbit hole last time, but I can certainly try to get more information and understand how it would relate.
From my understanding, it's about the regulations with the daycare, or the summer camps. Yeah. So I think it's more focused on that than actual pool related.
That's there was a
Yes.
lot of back and forth about that, but it had nothing to do with pools. So
Right.
Yeah. So
But
okay.
I'll kick the tires on
the
that.
pools are used for the summer camp. So just if we can only do the summer camp at Mill, that could affect what we wanted to do at Churchill versus Mill. Just
Yeah.
hypothetically.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
what
I'll
I
try to
was
get to the
thinking.
bottom of it. Yeah.
And maybe if it's dead and we don't have to worry about it, but if we have a little time, it seems worth asking those questions, because based on what we were just saying, we have a little bit of time to hunt some of these things down.
No, 100%. 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice. All right, guys. Last call. Anyone else? Any comments? Oh, go ahead, Nancy. Yep.
So, I'm just thinking back of when I used to take my boys swimming at the Rocky Hill School of Swimming, and they used to be known for their diving board. And I remember one year they had to work on their pools, and with, I guess, a new state code, they had to actually remove the diving board because they weren't able to have the depth at a certain feet length. So I think maybe that's why a lot of towns are removing the diving boards, because they're not able to get that depth without having to, restructure all of their pools. But I want to say it was around 11 feet to 12 feet that they were requiring to have that. I'm not sure. So I don't know if we can have a diving board on either of the pools unless we changed the depth to meet that standard of code for Connecticut.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm also concerned about the change in our premiums that would entail having a diving board too, because I feel like that would be something that Kermo is probably not going to like at all. So
I would imagine.
Yeah. But we could always look into it too. Jonathan, you want to, or have Lauren reach out to Kermo and ask him what impact that might have, just so we have the context to it. I feel like that would be good too. Okay. All right, great, guys. All right, well, great meeting. I appreciate everyone accommodating the Zoom only. And I'm sure we were all shoveling today and we're tired. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Have a great night, everybody.
Everyone have a good night. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.